Wholesalers. Okay?
Okay.
How many wholesalers do you typically deal with? If you're into stacking silver and gold coins, at some point you most likely had the thought of trying to buy directly from the source. You want to avoid those high premiums that you have to pay the local coin shop, the big online dealers like AppMax, JM Bullion, SD Bullion, and you want to be able to buy directly from the source. And those, my friends, are the wholesalers. And it's not easy to get in with those, but recently I've made some headway and I'm going to share with you how I did that. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, make sure you blast that subscribe button and get that bell notification clicked. That way you get updated with any new content. Today I wanted to talk to you about wholesalers, right? They are I would say, the underground source of the precious metals who the local coin shops and the online dealers all buy from, and then they sell to all of us. And unfortunately, it's just a part of the reality of buying silver and gold, right? Those premiums that we all have to pay. You're all looking for the best deals possible, and unfortunately, everybody has their markup. You've got the miners who then sell to the refineries. You got the refineries who then sell to the mints. You got the mints who sell to the wholesalers. You got the wholesalers who sell to the retailers, and then you got the retailers who sell to the general public, and sometimes also secondary sellers who then sell to the public. So how do you get in with the wholesalers? I'm going to talk about that in just a few moments, but before I do have a quick video with Steve that I want to get into, and then I'm going to share with all of you the few things that I did in order to get in with some wholesalers myself. Wholesalers, okay? How many wholesalers do you typically deal with? I know you have like one main one that
Not really. So that's not true.
No?
So I belong to CCE, Certified Coin Exchange, and that is a dealers network for dealers only.
Is it like classifieds? Like dealer, like
no,
a dealer's
it's
only?
More like a I don't even know the right terminology for it. It's a site that we can go on to. It gives you all the market values, who's the highest bidder on any particular coin, like this one, for example.
Right.
I can see where the bid is on it. So in other words, dealers are looking for certain products. So they'll put it in there and say, listen, I'm buying these coins for this price. I'm the highest guy on the list.
And then you can fulfill it.
You can, right? Some people are looking for it. Littleton Coin Company's on there. Upstate is on there. All your big dealers are on there, including the small dealers. And they're all, if I have 2 or 3 bags of 90% silver I want to sell, I could just put up a post. Hey, I'm looking to move 3 bags of silver. This is what I'm asking for them. And somebody will say, they'll buy it.
It reminds me of like the New York Stock Exchange with like all the guys like, I need 3 of these, 3. It's
a dealer-to-dealer network.
That's cool.
It's national. I would say that 80, I don't know about 80, but a large portion of the coin deals in the country come via that way. If I'm looking for gold and my normal supplier doesn't have it, then I'll put a message out there, and then and then typically you start to fall into, you tend to work with the same people over and over again.
Right. You build your own little sub-network.
You kind of do. So, maybe somebody was just filled, or they just took a whole bunch of 90% silver in, for example, and they have a ton of it, and they're not that bullish on it. They're like, well, I just took in 15 bags. I don't really need that much more. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to pay as much. Mm-hmm. So then maybe that wouldn't be my guy. Then I might just put it out there on the list, and somebody will say, I'm looking for 90.
Right.
So to answer your question is, I don't always use the same people all the time. It depends who's paying. Some people are looking and they're strong. Maybe they have an order they need to fill and they're willing to pay more for it.
Right.
So that's how it works.
So, and do you typically, like one last question, like do you prefer dealing with the wholesalers more than over the counter, or it doesn't really matter, just wherever?
You're not going to have a guy come in here looking to spend $20,000 on 90% silver.
Right.
This business doesn't usually work that way.
Right.
So everything has its place, right? Like I take in certain mint and proof sets. A perfect example. I take in thousands of mint and proof sets. I think I sell maybe 6-7 people a year mint and proof sets. It's not a big product that people come to my store looking for. So that kind of stuff just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then what I do is I wholesale it. So a lot of the stuff, I would say that 60 to 70% of the stuff that comes in over the counter that I buy, I wholesale.
Okay. All right. And it's hard for people to get in with wholesalers.
You got to remember something. I'm a brick and mortar, right? So how many people in this area are actually coming to my store?
There's a lot.
You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a lot, but not compared to the whole country.
Correct.
Right? So like that's where eBay has its part, and then that's where like everything has its place and it all kind
to
of
move
goes.
the product.
Yep.
Is it hard to get in with a wholesaler?
Not particularly.
Like, don't you need people to vouch for you? First of all, like, I want to get in with your wholesaler.
I'm kind of spoiled in that regard. I started out with people who've been in this for 30-something years. They've already have an established reputation. I sort of piggybacked onto them.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of using their reputation to... That's how I got started. And now that they've done business with me for the last 4 or 5 years, they understand that I'm holding up my end. So I've built my rapport, but at first I didn't. So to answer your question, maybe when you first get in, it might be a little tough.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but if you're part of CCE and you put your name out there, you may not, if you list something, you're not going to have a bunch of people jumping on it because they don't know who you are.
Right.
I mean, don't give us, like every other website, there's bad payers. There's people that say, okay, you sold it, but yet it takes a month for you to get the product. You know, like these things happen on every level, on every platform. They always have them, you know? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, listen, man.
So
I know you got this deal waiting to happen. Yep. I appreciate your time as always. Love you, buddy, and see you on the next one.
Be good, guys.
Now, here's what I had to do in order to get wholesale accounts with some of the big dealers like an APMEX and Silver Gold Bull. First thing you need to do is have a business. You need to have an LLC or a corporation, but you need to have an actual business, so that way you have an EIN number. An EIN number is an employee identification number, and that's something that you are given from the federal government when you go to establish your business. So the first thing you need to do is actually have a business in which you have an EIN number. That's your first step. The second thing that a lot of these wholesalers will ask you for are how many years in business has your company been operating. A lot of these wholesalers will ask you for a minimum of 2 years, sometimes even more, depending on the wholesaler. The third thing that some of these wholesalers might ask you for are certificates of good standing. That's easy. That's just something that if you have an established business, you then go on to your state treasury's website and you essentially just fill out like a quick questionnaire. You spend $50, $75 depending on the filing fee, and then they give you like a PDF of your certificate of good standing that is essentially just saying that your business is in good standing, is operating with accordance to the law, and is current with all of the dues and taxes that are owed to your state and federal government. Now, the fourth thing that you need in some of these wholesale accounts is you need references, and the references don't just come from your Uncle Ernie and your mom. You need references within the industry. So you need to have references within the silver and gold community. It's not just references from people, but they have to be businesses. So your local coin shops, other dealers, other online retailers that you've done a lot of business with, but you need to have references and people that are able to speak to your business. And the other thing that usually is a big barrier to entry for some of the people that are looking to actually make inroads at wholesalers are minimum purchases. A lot of these wholesalers will actually have minimums required. When you are looking to buy silver and gold, they will require you to buy a minimum of $10,000 in gold or $20,000 in silver. Sometimes they may require you, if you're looking to buy some, let's say, silver Maple Leafs or American Silver Eagles, to buy a monster box at a time. And that oftentimes is a big barrier to entry. People don't have that type of money, that capital to put up to buy all of that silver and gold. So sometimes it will have to like partner with other businesses to go in on these deals. But a lot of times that is another requirement from these wholesalers, is when you are placing an order, you have to have substantial minimums. So for me, it was only until the last couple of months that I was actually able to make some inroads with a few wholesalers. And now that I have established myself with a few of these wholesale businesses, such as APMEX, they do have a wholesale side, and Silver Gold Bull, and a couple others, and a couple others like Rogues Island Mint, which I'll talk about in an upcoming video where I'm actually interviewing the owner and founder of that wholesale business. But you do need to have all these things in order to get a wholesale account. You can't just go and call up a place and ask them to get a wholesale account. You need to actually have an established business, which I've talked about many times. And if you're interested in this sort of thing, I do have But if you're interested in this sort of thing and you're looking to kind of get into this business or looking to be buying at the wholesale level, you definitely can set up an appointment with me on my website, empirepreciousmetals.com. I'm curious if any of you have ever thought about this at least once in the history of all of your stacking. Have you ever thought about cutting out that middleman and get directly to the wholesaler yourself? I mean, for me, this is very exciting, a big exciting step in the business to be able to have these established wholesale accounts. And I'm curious if you've ever thought of this yourself. It makes me really excited. This is part of the reason that I got onto YouTube, so I could kind of share my knowledge with all of you. Let me know in the comments down below.